It's Tuesday, our 10th practice, coming off Friday Night Lights. Just want to see how my guys are going to respond from that. That was such a big event. I just want to see them get back to practicing the way that they need to practice and taking it, it was such a, especially playing inside Drake and just all the things that was going around the field. I just want to see them get back to being locked in and having a good practice today.
Obviously some big news since we last talked to you. Can you talk about what adding Nico does for this team?
Being able to bring in the number one player in the portal, just something that we couldn't pass up. A good quarterback, a local kid. A lot of the kids on the team know him, have played with him. So, we're just excited to get him out here, and once he finishes at Tennessee, and get out here and be around our team.
When can he get out here and start, working out and being around the team?
He has to finish at Tennessee first,
So summer probably?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Obviously, you had the relationship prior with the family, and then, I know back in December when, Madden decommitted and all that. Was there any, mending of the fences that had to be done as you guys started, talking with Nico and all that?
I wouldn't say so. It was just more of, just communicating, talking to each other, and just once he was in the portal, just going from there.
Is his brother?
I'm only speaking on whoever's in the portal. So.
Okay. There's been two sides that were reported about Nico's leaving Tennessee. One that, he wanted more money, one that he wasn't happy with the offense. What did you get in your sense from him for what he was looking for when he was, seeking a new home here at UCLA?
The player that wanted to come home and be closer to his family, so I think the family played a big role, and being able to come back to California, I think that played a big role too.
How would you characterize the NIL package you were able to put together for Nico?
Characterize it?
Yeah.
A success.
I mean, as far as he was looking for, reportedly looking for.
I don't know. I don't
yeah.
report. I don't know what he was looking for or whatnot. I know that he accepted our contract and he wants to be a Bruin. So that's all I'm focused on. He wants to be a Bruin. He wants to be here, and we're excited.
For you personally, can you just take us through what the process was like of going from this is a possibility to now we potentially have a chance here to then having to, then see one of your committed guys enter the portal as well as a result? What was that like for you?
When I was in the NFL, they drafted a running back every year. So this is a competition sport, and we had an opportunity to bring in the number one player in the portal. So that was something that we had to do, and we're just looking forward to all the players that want to be here and want to be Bruins, and just moving on and keep going.
What were your conversations like with Joey? Obviously, he's departed, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, what were your conversations like with him on?
As soon as we knew what it was, I was able to communicate with him what was going on, and he said he's going to go back and talk to his family, and he made his decision.
There was also a report McDaniel was going in the portal. Have you had any conversations with him about?
Yeah, he didn't say that. So.
Okay. So you expect him here today?
He is here.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With obviously, NIL is a big thing, right? So, did you need Joey's NIL to get Nico, or were they completely separate things?
No, because if he wanted to stay and compete, that was fine.
And did you pitch him on that? Did you pitch Joey on, you can stay and
Mm-hmm.
still compete?
Yep.
What are you able to say about Nico's personality, his character, and his ability to be a part of a team here?
Polynesian kid, so respectful kid. Just comes from their culture. A competitor, somebody that wants to play football and wants to compete. So we're just excited to get him here. A lot of these kids that we have on this team played with him at some level or and knows him, so there's a lot of familiarity.
Can you talk about the familiarity? You guys went through a similar situation last year with Jay, briefly entering the portal, got him to come back. Obviously, this is a little bit different with a new player coming in. Did you have to, gauge the temperature of the players at all, or was it just one of those things where you guys kind of laid it out? Hey, this is just kind of the business of things.
I think I have a pretty good feel of what the culture is down there with them. So I didn't think I needed to really check in with them and see, but I would just go off what you guys saw on social media from our players. I think that pretty much answers a lot of questions.
Not having Nico for spring, how much harder is that going to make for him to pick up the offense and hit the ground running when he gets here for the season?
I don't think it'll hurt him at all. You know, it's pretty cool that these other guys are going to be able to get some more reps, so we can really see who can get out there and potentially compete for a starting position.
In this day and age where there's so many moving pieces with representation, collectives, all the different things, as opposed to just talking to a player and his family, how hard was it to put this deal together, and what was the time frame? Was this like a 48-hour process where it was really serious? How long did it really take to come together?
The hardest part about it was just the time frame. So once he got in the portal, then it started. So it was just getting to him getting in the portal, and then now we can talk about if he wants to be a Bruin or not. But you know, it's kind of hard. It's just a hard thing, you know, in this portal thing, some things are kind of done beforehand, but this wasn't one of those.
There you mentioned, you know, in the NFL, they drafted a running back every year. I guess, do you feel like there's been a learning curve in some ways? Not for you, but just the sport in general with dealing with these kind of situations now that this is a new reality?
Most definitely. You know, I think people are just you're learning on the run. You know, it's kind of like an avalanche. It's just kind of just going downhill and it's picking up steam as it goes. So, you know, but just like I said before, they drafted a running back every year. Every year I was here as a running back, they recruited more running backs to come here, you know. So this is a competition sport for coaches, players, everybody. So you just gotta want to get out there and compete.
How does the money change that, or maybe not change it, but how does it, you know, affect it, or maybe exacerbate some of those issues?
I don't know how the money is affecting it, you know. I don't see it should. He could have got, well, I'm not even going to speak on it, but, you know, I don't think the money played a role in somebody staying or going.
Have there been any conversations with Troy? Troy Aikman's number 8, right? Has there been any conversations about retiring that number for Nico? Have you heard anything about that?
Well, he didn't take a photo shoot, so that's why all of the pictures are
It's like a graphic, yeah.
from the other school that he was at, wearing the number that he was wearing.
Sure.
So.
But going forward, you don't know anything about what
No.
Okay.
And just as far as the big picture of college football, do you see a future where there are multi-year deals so that way it's not so much year to year with, you know, like continuous free agency almost?
I think eventually it's going to get to that, but we'll see once the settlement comes down, so we can get some rules and really figure out what's going to happen. But I can see a future of that, yeah, for sure.
There's obviously lots of film on Nico, but how do you vet a guy for the intangibles, especially in the short amount of time that you have?
I think a lot of that was done before, you know, just being familiar that it was a local kid. If it wasn't a local kid, it would have been a little bit more difficult, but being able that we did see him play in high school and evaluating that film at Tennessee wasn't hard to do. So I think, but if it wasn't a local kid, that might have been a little difficult process.
And just as far as, you know, last Friday, it seemed like the decision making of the quarterbacks seemed like to, you know, really make a big jump compared to the last time we saw you guys in an open practice setting. What can you say about what Tino's been able to do with them and kind of improve in that area?
Tino's a great coach. You know, you're really going to see what he can do with these quarterbacks. He has a pretty good track record of one and dones, being with a guy 1 year and he's being successful the next year. So we're just excited. You know, he's excited for what's going on, and we're just going to keep plugging away. But, you know, we still got this 10th practice, and I'm excited to see my team get out there and practice and get going because, you know, we still have to improve, and we have 6 more practices. So I think these guys are chomping at the bit to continue to improve and get better.
What about Nico's talents excites you the most?
6'6", you know, this is a big guy, a true competitor, like fiery, big arm, and then, you know, it's gonna keeping the California kids and LA kids here. You know, this is a big thing. When I played here, a lot of kids stayed here, but I also played with guys from out of state. But you still wanted to stay local and play big time football, and you know, to be able to do that, and you know, be in the Big Ten, I'm just pretty excited.
In a situation like that where there's a lot of noise, a lot of rumors, a lot of reports, what was the fact-finding process, I guess, like for you guys? How did you guys go about trying to separate, you know, kind of what was out there versus what you guys were looking for?
You just have to go with your gut and with the people that you trust. You know, you can't go through and no offense to you guys, but you can't just read everything on social media and come to a conclusion from that. You know, you have to do a little bit more homework. So I think we did a good job in vetting and figured out what we wanted to do, and you know, we were able to execute, and now we're here.
What about, was it Bruins for Life and or a donor that really stepped up to make this possible?
We've been able to raise money. Like I said before, Bruins for Life has raised more money than any other collector that we've had. You know, so we're being able to be in conversations that we probably wouldn't have been in the past. So they're doing a good job in doing that, and I haven't lost anybody this portal to money. You know, we've been able to actually offer people the same amount or even more than what other people have offered them. So I'm just excited for Bruins for Life, and you know, just if we can just continue to put a good product out there on the field and figure out what's going to happen in these next few days with the settlement, and then we can go from there.
You said you have 6 more practices, so obviously still some things to learn about your team. But as far as the rest of the needs for the upcoming portal, how close are you to kind of putting together the wish list, or how clear a picture do you have of that right now?
We're still going through that. You know, still figuring those pieces out. We kind of have a good judgment of what we have. You know, we have a couple recruits here this weekend, but we just this week, we just want to just continue to get out there. But I think we have a good grasp of what we want, you know, what we need. It's just hitting on it.
And obviously, you know, with all the news of the weekend, you know, there's a lot of added attention, a lot of added expectations even. What do you tell your team about maybe embracing some of those and trying to take that challenge head on?
You want to be in conversations. You want to play big-time ball. You want to have people to, you know, just, you want to have haters. You want to have, you know, like you want all of this stuff because that means that you're trending in the right direction. So if you want to play big-time ball, you can do that here at UCLA. I got a quarterback situation that's going to pan out for us, and we're just looking forward to it, you know. When's the last time we had this many people here talking to us? You guys know what I'm saying? So this is a good buzz for us. And keeping the local kids here, big-time recruits, let them know that you don't have to go to certain conferences to be successful and make it to the NFL. You can do it right here in California. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.